Okay, so before we start the podcast, I wanted to apologize in advance. So at the part we're picking up from, Josh and I are talking about parents in TV shows, like 90s TV shows, and how they were kind of almost seemed incompetent. And the reason we're here is because I f***ed up and I forgot to save the first half of the podcast, because when Josh's Skype died, we just didn't have, like, I just must have exited out, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but it's not there, so I apologize. So here we pick up. We're talking about 90s TV parents and how they weren't, like, super parental right away. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so here we go. You know what I'm talking about? Where they make the parents kind of doofy and oblivious?
Well, whenever you say doofy, it makes me think of Scream and the dude with the...
Stop it. No.
The vacuum. Okay, so anyway, yes, I fully understand. Like, they were really oblivious. Like, they didn't really understand what's going on. Especially, like, a lot of the shows had, like, parents that had, like, really responsible jobs. Like, Corey Matthews' dad, like, ran a business, and, like, Carl Winslow was, like, a cop.
And, like, all this you wonder, like, how do these people survive on the job if they're having trouble like this?
It's like, how do they live their real life if they're like, oh, I didn't know he was smoking pot in front of me? Like, is that oregano? You know, like, they, like, have, like, the craziest things, like, oh, you fell off your bike? I've never seen that before.
Or you could see something like where Mr. Matthews has to close and say, well, gee, I don't know, Lorraine. Something didn't add up, you know? Like,
I'm not quite sure.
But
we were out of stock of apples. I closed the whole store.
What was really funny to me is that even though they were like that, like near the end of the shows, they would always give really parenty advice.
Yeah.
You know, like it was everything you wanted to hear. And you can blame who ran those shows? Was that Mark Jacobs? Is that who like did those shows?
Yeah, a lot of the family shows.
Right. Yeah. Well, so on top of that, with all those '90s jokes going on in the show, the one show that I love to hate, but I really do love it, is Full House.
Dude, Fuller House.
I know it's coming. I know. Wait, hold on. So
okay.
The one thing about Full House was that, like, I watch it now. I loved it growing up. I watch it now, and I can't really stand it, because it's a mix of the really bad jokes and I really hate canned laughter.
I still enjoy Full House, except I really don't like the Olsen twins anymore.
There's only one exception to the live studio audience and why I like it. The one exception, and the only exception besides game shows, is Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince, that's an awesome show.
I mean, Fresh Prince by far. I think what happened is that, you know, Will Smith, and this is a theory that I have, is that Will Smith wasn't meant to be really famous, but when he got his start on Fresh Prince, you know, he played a little outlandish. But did you ever notice that as the show continued to progress, they flexed his acting muscle?
Oh, yeah. That
all they wanted initially when they hired him was someone who was outlandish and a little bit crazy. And Will Smith is so talented in that show alone.
Well, it went from like goofy Will real hard to like hitting on all the ladies, just trying to get laid and stuff, to like he really had like moral character and like.
Do you remember the episode where I assume you've seen a lot of it?
I've seen almost all of them.
Okay,
yeah.
Do you remember the episode where his dad comes back?
Is that the one where he leaves?
Yes.
Again?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like that part right there makes me cry every time.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who you are. That's like one of those things where I watch that and I like instantly start to tear up.
Well, did you see that thing that goes around in the internet where they're like, Will Smith wasn't actually acting in that scene because that's like really what happened? His father was like a big part of his life. That's straight up just great acting.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like when I saw that, even like as a kid, I didn't recognize it, but now as an adult, like that went from, because the episode before that, I forgot what the episode was, but it was like still, you know, goofy and crazy Will. And then they went from 0 to 100 real fast.
Real quick. But you know what? It made it better though. It really did. Because you take this character that you've come to love for his like goofy antics and like, and
then you find out that he's a real person.
Well, and it's not even necessarily that he's a real person, it's the fact that like he can make that switch to where when you watch someone that's kind of like it's almost like a weakness, because you can tell like a lot of people use that type of attitude as a defense. When he gets hurt, you feel worse for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's almost like he's more defenseless, and that goofy act is really an act.
Right.
And then you see, like, the walls come down.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying, see him like a real person, which is more what happened later in the show, and I agree with that, too.
And that's where, I think in that episode, that's where Will and Uncle Phil kind of bonded more.
Oh, yeah.
Because Will understood what, like, the sacrifices that Uncle Phil made for him.
And for Carlton.
Yes,
that
especially
Carlton was
for
so
Carlton.
lucky to have, like, a real dad. Well, and that's another thing, that kind of mix of the really serious character that ended up becoming goofy. It was like a real transformation where as Will became more serious, Carlton became more goofy.
Right.
And it was kind of like you could see how they're both vying for the affection of one, the father he didn't have, the father that he saw as trying to take someone else under his wing.
Right.
So it's just like, it kind of covered a lot of different people's families.
Yeah.
And you could put yourself in a lot of the different roles.
And that's why it became such a great show.
And that's why it's such a great show.
And that is why I can still sit at home and watch hours of it and not be bored.
Oh, yeah.
That and also Family Matters.
Family Matters?
Like, Family Matters went from being a really goofy... Like, it was always really goofy.
Yeah.
But they touched on real issues. Do you remember...
I couldn't watch it today.
You know, I could watch maybe a couple episodes. I could do a couple episodes, and then I'd have to stop. Because
well, it got real crazy later on.
Well, the problem is, and I always blame this on the audience. It's always the audience's fault. Like, there are jokes that if you take the audience away, like, I was watching, what was it, How I Met Your Mother, where they took the audience away, and those jokes aren't funny.
Yeah.
Like, you watch it without the audience, and it's not funny. Which is unfortunate, because apparently it got, like, rave reviews, but with, and that's the big problem with a lot of 90s shows, is that these studio audiences are just full of idiots.
Yeah.
And therefore, it kind of drags the brand down.
I can agree with that.
But when I watched shows like Family Matters, and I watched the episode where Carl's partner gets shot.
Oh, yeah.
And Carl cries. Dude, I cried.
See, those episodes that were more, like, Winslow-centric...
Yes.
were more... I could probably watch those today. But, like, the Urkel stuff, like, it just wasn't funny later on. And then, like, he became Stefan.
Well,
and,
what
like,
happened? Didn't he, like, didn't she, like, not even accept him for who he was, and, like, he had to be forced to become Stefan Urkel, and that's why she married him?
Yeah, but it was just like, I don't know.
Real quick, what kind of fucking message is that?
Exactly, that you need to change
to be accepted?
Exactly.
What kind of message is that? Like, what are we teaching our kids in that scenario?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I understand that, like, the one problem Steve always had was that he always wanted to be cool. And that he never could be because he was just so,
well,
geeky, I guess. But
the thing I liked about that, though, probably the only thing I liked about the Urkel character was I didn't like the fact that they made fun of him being a nerd all the time, because as a self-professed nerd / geek, like, I wanted role models that spoke to me that it was okay to be that way. Mm-hmm. But if you remember, he was like a king to other nerds.
Right.
I remember there was like episodes where like he was like super respected, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, it shows like,
and his girlfriend before Laura Winslow. I believe his girlfriend before Laura Winslow was way hotter.
Was hotter. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And that kind of gave me the thing of like, oh, well, he's still got his own place. He can still be, you know, cool to a subset of people and stuff like that. But I hated that they always kind of made the joke that he was like this nerdy kid who was into science and like all this stuff. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. Do
you remember Nick News?
I do. Okay. I don't remember it specifically, but I remember that being a thing.
Well, Nick News was this thing that was created.
It's by kids, right?
Yeah. It was all like kids and teens. And it was created by Linda Ellerby, who I still have no clue who that is. I was looking through Wikipedia the other day, and I thought about all the kids shows that I watched, like when I was sick at home.
All of that.
And I'm thinking about the daytime kids shows like Nick Jr.
Oh, okay.
So shows that came to mind. Number one, the big one was Gullah Gullah Island.
Gullah Gullah Island.
With Binya Binya, the giant pollywog, who, by the way, would be like shot and killed today if that really happened. because a giant pollywog only means one thing, and that's your water source. It's like, It's like nowadays, it's like if there's a giant pollywog, it's terrorizing the city. So we're going to go ahead and switch gears, and we're going to talk about stuff, like fun stuff we did as kids. I'm going to start off and mention one of my favorite places growing up, and that was Discovery Zone.
Oh, DZ.
Now, we grew up relatively close to each other. I mean, about, like 4 hours apart, right? So you have Discovery Zone. Now, did you know, fun fact, did you ever have a Leaps and Bounds?
I did not. We had them, like, near us, but not where I could go to one.
Okay, so Leaps and Bounds were built by McDonald's.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were like the original freaking awesome play place. And then what happens is Discovery Zone went in and took them over. And then what happened after that was that in 1996, DZ took a hard nosedive. Yeah. I mean, a hard nosedive. In fact, now if you can find one, which I highly doubt you can, but if you can, consider yourself very lucky.
I just remember going to a lot of kids' birthday parties there, and then one day it was a furniture store. Like, it was pretty much like...
Now,
like,
let me ask you, was yours in a strip mall, or was it freestanding?
It was in a strip mall.
See, we had 3 in Indianapolis. 2 in a strip mall, and 1 was freestanding. And the freestanding one was the one that was a converted Leaps and Bounds.
Okay.
Because, you know, you were guaranteed at least 3 things when you went to Discovery Zone or Leaps and Bounds. Number 1, you were going to get garbage pizza.
Poop in the ball pit.
Number 2, pee and poop in the ball pit. And number 3, you were guaranteed a good damn time.
Oh, yeah.
Who cares if you got dysentery?
Yeah.
Shit, nobody cared about that. You know, and,
that's right.
But it was the 90s, and you could do that.
Fix the wheel, get another ox, and you're fine.
Oh, man, I remember kick and skee ball.
Oh, yeah.
That was like...
The basketball games that were like always horribly
it's like
the half-inflated basketballs and like you would play on like 3 different machines just to use the balls on one machine,
right?
So you could get a ton of tickets.
Like one of my favorite things about that was that I would always get like 2 points and my friends would get like 24 and 30. It's like I got this, and I'd shoot it and I'd miss. You know, okay, I got this.
See, I'm from Illinois, near Chicago, so we're a little more corrupt. We used to work together. That's why we'd get to all the machines together and then hit them up and shoot all the balls at one machine, so you get a ton of points for a ton of tickets. That's how you rig the system, sir. That's why that's why 2 of our governors were in prison. And hashtag Illinois. Hashtag winning games.
Hashtag gun control laws. Hashtag most violent city in America.
Hashtag you right.
Hashtag I know. Yeah. Way to bring it down, Josh. Thanks, Josh.
Well, hey, and now I'm in Texas where there's 4 times as many guns and half as much crime.
I was gonna say, isn't there like less crime in Texas?
Yep, exactly.
Where you can open up a bank account and get a gun, but nobody shoots somebody else?
They seriously do. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, they seriously give guns away for all kinds of stuff. I'm like, they can do that?
Well, I mean, technically... Like, you should know this, U.S. Texas constitutional whatever the law.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can do whatever you want with guns in Texas. Like, you can pretty much open carry almost anywhere.
My buddy lives in Texas, and he loves it. Like, he keeps 2 guns on him. One is in his car, and one is on his persons. And the one on his persons is not anything, not anything crazy. It's like I think it's like a 38.
Yeah, well, we have open carry, so I mean, if you get a permit, you can freely carry pretty much anywhere.
See, that's what I love about Texas, man. Like, I'm not worried about people giving me for carrying my firearm.
Oh no, and I'm not worried about anybody messing with anybody anywhere because. We got armed people, handle business.
And everyone talks about, this is going to get really deep for a second, okay? We're going to pause on the 90s stuff. Everyone talks about gun control in this country. Everyone talks about how guns are bad and guns are horrible. Yep. There are certain guns that I wouldn't allow the general public to have.
Oh, yeah.
But if I have a handgun, here's my thinking, dude. If I have a handgun and I pull it, I'm going to use it.
Well, yeah, if I have a handgun on me, my intention is to protect myself, my friends, my freedom. Like, that's what it's
so,
for.
like, a little bit backstory here. A couple years ago, I lived in a not so very nice part of Indianapolis. And one night, we were broken into. A week before, a friend of mine, as a gift, because he found out where I was living, gave me his .22. And the reason I owned the .22 was because translates in every single language.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, if I'm being honest, that does. You know, it's one of those things where you know you're in trouble when that happens. Especially if you're encroaching, especially if you're breaking into someone's house.
Oh,
and you shouldn't be doing that anyway. How old are you? Act your age. Come on. Not only were we talking about Discovery Zone, but we also need to talk about another personal favorite place of mine, and that was, can you take a guess?
Showbiz Pizza.
Oh man, Showbiz Pizza. Showbiz Pizza. You want to take this one, or you want me to take it?
You can go with Showbiz Pizza, and then I'll tell my story of sadness.
Oh, so Showbiz Pizza is one of the greatest places. Was one of the greatest places. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And now it's been
Showbiz.
taken over by Chuck E. Cheese, which they no longer have animatronics in there.
Oh no, I didn't. I haven't
Oh
been to
yeah,
Chuck E.
no.
Cheese
Like the last
forever.
time, a friend of mine had his kid's party, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Chuck E. Cheese for my kid's party?" And I'm like, "Well, that's kind of awkward. Sure. What does your kid want?" So I bought her a little action figure, which she really enjoyed. It was like $8 at Walmart.
Very nice of you.
Well, I mean, I was like, what was I gonna do? Just show up randomly and eat pizza and beer? No. I
Here,
wanted
child,
to be there for a
take
reason.
nothing and be happy.
I wanted to be there for a reason. So I went there, and I walk over to the parents' table, which everyone's my age. I'm the only one without a kid. And like, so all the parents are sitting together talking shit, and we're looking around, and I'm like, is this the same Chuck E. Cheese that we went to as kids? And they're like, yeah, man. There's one that we all went to in a certain part of Indianapolis called Castleton, which you have no clue is where that is.
I have no idea where that is.
But it's a freestanding Chuck E. Cheese. It's been there for the last 25 years. It used to be a Showbiz even. And it's a screen now. It's a screen, and Chuck E. Cheese has lost 40 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I thought, wow, now that I think about it, this was a long time coming. Because you went from animatronics created by... I forget what the company was, but it was the Showbiz Pizza animatronics created by Aaron Fechter, and then they converted from Showbiz to Chuck E. Cheese and then to the screen. If you ever get a chance, there is a movie documentary you need to watch about the Rock-afire Explosion, which is and the Rock-afire Explosion, in case you're wondering, is the band from Showbiz Pizza.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah, isn't that
I
awesome?
don't remember. I just remember the giant bear.
No, you're thinking the gorilla.
Or the gorilla.
Yeah, you're talking.
Yeah.
Oh wait, which one
There
are you
was a
talking
bear.
about?
I thought there was.
There was, yeah, Billy Bob. Can't believe I
Yeah.
know these names. Let's see if I still remember this. So the bear was Billy Bob, and then there was Beach Bear, who played the guitar. I forget what I think Ralph was. I forget who that was. Fats was on the piano. Ralph was the one that told all the jokes with Earl Schmurl, the little. So yeah,
A little a-hole. He was a literal anus.
he
on
was,
the
dude. He was
stage.
like a little puppet. He was just.
Animatronic anus.
He was. All you hear is every time he opened his mouth. But yeah, so you need to watch that documentary. If you want, I've got a
Good
copy of it. I can
shit.
mail it to you, and you got to mail it back.
I'm down with that.
All right,
Snail
man.
mail's where it's at.
So
Go on the
what's
computer.
your favorite place?
I mean, I remember going to Showbiz Pizza as a kid, and then Chuck E. Cheese I was never a big fan of. Well, when I grew up, you could go to Chuck E. Cheese as socially acceptable, and then when I became a teenager, they made rules that you couldn't go there unless you were 18. At
Yes.
least that was the one by me. And then it was kind of like, oh, well, they're making it kind of creepy. I don't know, it was just weird. But there's this chain out by me, and I don't know if it's just local or if it's Midwest. It's called Haunted Trails. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I've never heard of that, but it sounds interesting. Please go on.
I've actually had a birthday party there. They have putt-putt golf. They have this cool little go-kart track.
Oh, is it
They
like
also-
is like their putt-putt? Is that the indoor blacklight stuff?
No, it's outdoor, and it's because it's Haunted Trails. It's all spooky, ghost-themed,
Oh, that's fun.
haunted houses and stuff, and it was really cool. And then they had a huge indoor arcade
Oh,
with
yeah.
the normal stuff, and then you could get pizza and whatever. It's basically like a Chuck E. Cheese once you got inside there.
Mhm.
But not only did they have the electric power kiddie go-karts, they had gas-powered adult go-kart track as
Yes.
well. So it was a pretty cool place. But whenever we were going to celebrate something, that's normally where we'd go. And one time, this is showing how naive I am as a human being. I went there for a birthday party, for my birthday party.
Right.
And I was in the kiddie go-karts, and I get in, and I find this bag, basically the equivalent of finding 9 kilos of heroin. It was for kid heroin, because it was tickets. And the way they did it at Haunted Trails, if you had 100 tickets or something, they would take all your tickets and give you this one little note card thing that's
Right.
100
It
tickets.
said 100 tickets on it.
Yeah, and it's just fat stacks of just thousands and thousands of tickets in this bag.
Holy shit.
Like, I could have gone in and bought like half the wall of stuff.
You could have bought the store.
Pretty much, right? And being me, the little kid who was always taught to do what's right, and I hadn't learned about corrupt Illinois politics yet, I was like, "Excuse me, sir, I found this bag in my cart, and these are my tickets, and I would feel wrong taking these." And they took the tickets, and they didn't give me a thing, and I was like, that taught me right there.
Josh, no.
Like, I don't necessarily expect a reward for that, but like as a little kid turning in like that much stuff and being like an honest person, like honest people should get a reward for the things they do. That's how I feel. If you do good things should happen to you.
I agree. That's kind of how I'm living my life right now, and that seems to backfire.
Well, as an adult, I did find a wallet in a theater I worked in that had like $600 in it. And I was really broke at the time, and I was like contemplating. I was like, I can't do it. Yeah. And the guy ended up coming back, and I gave him the thing, and he gave me, I don't remember how much he gave me, but I remember he gave me a decent chunk of money because like he was surprised that all the cash was still in his wallet, and I was like, yeah, I couldn't do that. Like I'm just not that person.
Right.
And he broke me and a couple of the other dudes off some cash. And I was like, see, that's a reward for being a good citizen, doing the right thing. Like, even if he would have given me, like, a high five or, like, $1 or something, the kid that took those tickets from me, like, he was a teenager, I was a little kid, he was basically like, okay, get in the car. Like, he did not give a good damn that I just gave up the goat. Like, I basically won the lotto and gave it away.
What's going to happen in, like, 50 years, you're going to be on your deathbed, and, like, that's the one thing that you're going to talk about before you go.
The one thing I'm going to talk about on my deathbed is giving up a Lex Luger shirt. Do you know who Lex Luger is?
Lex Luger?
Lex Luger was a professional wrestler, also a big influence of mine in the 90s. He was in the WCW, he was huge in the NWA. Not only that, what was the name of the place? There's this, like, health area in, like, the Chicagoland Midwest areas, like Health Plus or Health Smart or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but it was, like, a personal orthopedic care and training facility for like rehab and stuff, and he was like a big part of it. And we found out, like, we made signs and stuff because my dad went to one of their clinics, and I was like, oh, we had third row seats, and we held up signs that said like whatever the name of the place on it, I can't remember what it is right now, and he like took off his shirt in the ring and threw it over to us, and I caught it, but this little kid like right next to me, like I had to be like 10, he was maybe like 6, the little kid grabbed it after I had it. I will seriously hate that kid for the rest of my life. Even though, like, I was doing a good deed, I've always regretted it. And I've been really sad I don't have a Lex Luger shirt.
That's going to be your deathbed. It's going to be like, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a story. Then you'll tell the story and you'll be like, that is all. Ugh.
And then the kid, like, my caretaker, my nurse, will, like, put their hand on my head and be like, when I was 6 years old, some fat kid gave me a Lex Luger shirt.
And it's like, credits.
Yep, credits. And just my eyes go bloodshot as I, like, flatline, and then it's, like, credits.
That would be the greatest horrible movie I'd see.
Yep. It'd be, like, a 3-minute movie. It's just, like, a rage boner.
That's another thing, man. Movies, man. We didn't even have time to talk about movies today. It's like we're already done with the show.
Dude, I still have yet to bring up the one thing I wanted to bring up. And
Talk to me.
It pretty much needs to be its whole show.
Like what?
In general.
Do you want to preface it a little bit, or like what do you want to do?
What is the greatest TV show of the 90s?
What is the greatest TV?
That has influenced both of our lives, I believe, equally, not only from the TV show, but from outside media and materials.
Is it Pokemon?
Pokemon! Okay? I will travel across the land.
Searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power.
Power that's inside.
Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. I know it's my I'm f***ing that up.
That's what I'm saying. We need to talk about Pokemon, the TV show, the movies, the card game, the video games. We need a Poke show.
So anyway, we talked about a lot of weird stuff from the 90s, and we've got a great show for you next week. We're talking all about Pokemon, and you're gonna freak out here at the awesomeness of that show. I'm Josh.
I'm Josh.
And that's what you've been watching, is the Joshes, or listening to, or however you're getting this, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on your phone. And have a great day, everybody.
Bye.